So we're gonna debrief this a little bit. I had a couple of words up here for transgender. We have person from Orange is the New Black, so that's Laverne Cox. Bathrooms, confused, wrestling, a friend and a coworker, someone who's on hormones or transitioning, or just confused. Under bisexual, we have non-existent. Best of both worlds, Eleanor Roosevelt, two sexes, can't make up their mind. Under gay, we have flamboyant, close friend, girly, faggot, yes queen, fashion girl or guy, good taste in home decor. I gotta tell you the story, I'm sorry. So, I kid you not, my family was awful with my coming out experience. Most of them stopped talking to me completely, but the one person that I could count on in my family was my grandmother, right? Her name is Dolly Worthy. And Dolly said to me when I came out to her, the first thing she said is, "This is fantastic, you can help me redecorate the house." I was like, oh, you don't want me to do that. Lesbian, Ellen. We always have Ellen under lesbian. Fetish, dyke, my cousin, parents, boo, girl and girl, sexy or masculine stereotypes. Asexual, not interested in sexual relations, what? Not attracted to anyone, question mark. So, the reason we do this activity, to be quite honest with you all, is, sorry, I'm making this difficult on you. The reason we do this activity is because for most folks who hold a marginalized identity, they also have the benefit of their family members, or the way that they are raised, to give them a sense of their identity, and who they are, and what their culture is. But that is not the case for most LGBTQ people. Most LGBTQ people receive the messages about themselves through television, through the internet, through lots of social media, and they only hear the messages that we often see reflected in these boxes up on the Post-it notes, right? So can you imagine if you just came out, you're in college, and you know that you're gay, but everyone's telling you you need to be their gay best friend, you need to go shopping with them, and you're going to be a fashionista and great at home decor. But you have no interest in any of those things whatsoever. You really want to be involved in intramural sports and to be at the campus rec center and to get involved in Greek life. But that's not the expectation that everyone has of you. They expect you to be a fashionista who can help them go shopping. Do we see how these stereotypes can be harmful to people? We put people in boxes a lot of times based on their sexual orientation or their gender identity. I'm telling you all, you have to break out of the box. Do not stereotype folks that you don't know. Because a lot of our students have to live with this stuff on them constantly, and they feel like they either have to fulfill those expectations or they have to hide from the world. And that's a big barrier for them for accessing places like campus recreation. I am so excited that we are doing 7 Strong Night at the Rec with you all. It's amazing, and it shows that all spaces can be open and affirming spaces. So I challenge you, as you meet different folks, either at 7 Strong Night at the Rec or just in your jobs on a day-to-day basis, it doesn't matter whether it's gender and sexuality or not, what stereotypes are you putting on those individuals? And how can you challenge that? Okay? It just got real deep. I'm going to back up a little bit. So we're going to move to our next slides. We just talked about language. Actually, we can go to the 2 more. There we go. Go for it.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about language. So LGBTQ, what does it mean and how to use it? So some of the words that you may use or that we've used before are not appropriate anymore. Homosexual is one word where we don't really use it anymore. It's not encompassing to a lot of people, a lot of identities. We're also going to talk about allies, and allies need to be comfortable using the acronym. So LGBTQ is usually the one that we use now. It started off as homosexual, and then went to LGB to LGBT. There's like GLB in there, and now it's LGBTQ, just so it's more encompassing. Right now we use LGBT+ or LGBTQ+ to encompass all identities under the rainbow. So you got lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, asexual, intersex, pansexual, and tons more, which is why we use the plus symbol at the end.
Yes, and remember, more gender and sexuality community, right? We can go through the entire alphabet and come up with sexual identities across that, but the gender and sexuality community is an inclusive way to just talk about the whole community, okay?
So,
go ahead.
So this is what we generally think of when we think of like the binary gender model. So what you might think of and what we've thought as in society is your sex is either male or female, which corresponds to your gender identity as man or woman, and your gender expression as masculine, feminine, and sexual orientation, attracted to women if you're a male and attracted to men if you're a female. And we're going to try and break that. There we go.
So we say things are a little bit more complicated than that. It's not just a linear up and down scale. It's more of that everyone falls along a line, a spectrum, of their sex, their gender identity, their gender expression, and their sexual orientation. So your sex might be that of a male, your gender identity might be that of a trans person, that can be expressed in an androgynous way, and your sexual orientation might be only attracted to women. So there are any number of combinations of these things. Again, we get too caught up in the combinations like, oh, if I know this piece, then I know this piece, and this tells me that. Don't worry about that, right? We're just trying to get you to think about this in a more broader context and honoring the human that you meet in front of you. You can go to the next slide. The most important thing that you can do is, if you don't understand, ask somebody about their identity. So, for example, if somebody says to you, like, I'm a queer pansexual person. Awesome. What does it mean for you to be a queer pansexual person, right? If they disclose that information, if you are just curious, curiosity is for Google, right? So if you just have natural curiosity, I know that this person identifies as this, go look it up on Google. If it's because you want to better honor and have a conversation with them, that's when it's an appropriate time to ask the question, right? Like, what does that mean to you? Because I know that can be defined in many different ways for many different people. Does that make sense to folks? Okay. So at your tables, you all are going to work through a scenario now. Your scenario is this. You're working the front desk of the recreation center. A member walks up to you and says, there's a woman dressed as a man in the men's locker room. You need to do something. What do? You have 3 minutes amongst your table to come up with a solution. Go.